Welcome to Creekside Online. Our mission is to reach the world with Jesus one person at a time, with Christ, community, and compassion. We are so glad that you are joining us today. If it is your very first time, please take a moment to click the link below and fill out an online Connect card. We would love for you to stay connected throughout the week and everywhere you go. And the best way to do that is through our church app. There you can watch additional messages and find resources to help you grow in your relationship with Christ. It's free and you can download it wherever you download your apps. For us, church is so much more than just a weekend experience. And we want you to know that there's a place here for you at Creekside. No matter where you're watching today, let's get ready for what God has in store for us.
Amen. Well, good morning, church. As Jared mentioned, I'm Chad. I'm one of the ministers here on staff at Creekside. You know, summertime is an interesting time for churches especially. And we have a lot of people going on vacation, and it doesn't seem like there's as many people checking out churches. But here at Creekside, it's a little different. We're welcoming new families every single week. It's pretty awesome, actually. And so if you are new with us today, if this is your first time here or your first time watching with us online, I just want to say welcome. And if it's not your first time here, you've been here before, then welcome back. Welcome back. We love that you're coming back, and we're so glad that you're here. And then for those of us that call Creekside home, could we just take a moment and could we get excited about all of those people that are coming and trying to join us and check us out for the first time, maybe be part of the family? That's awesome. And in fact, we've had so many new families over the past few weeks. You may have noticed the signs when you were coming in. We're changing things up in a few weeks. And on August 10th, we're going to go to 3 services. Those will be at 8, 9:30, and 11. So you can prepare and plan accordingly. All right. I have a question. I have a list of people. Who or what do all of these people have in common? Let's see if you can get it. Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Serena Williams, Wayne Gretzky, Ben Johns. Where are my pickleball people at? Okay. Whitney Houston, Dale Earnhardt, Billy Graham, Ronald Reagan, Mother Teresa, Steve Jobs. That's a pretty eclectic list. What do they all have in common? Although there would be some debate, many people would consider them to be great. Possibly the greatest in a generation, or even the greatest of all time in their respective areas of influence. These are men and women that are often looked up to, revered. Their careers are studied and imitated. We might model our workout routines, our schedules, our careers, our leadership styles, even our diets after people that we think are great. And the truth is, that's because we want to be great too, don't we? I mean, we do. We want to be great moms and dads and siblings and friends, employees, supervisors, maybe even great pickleball players. So we often chase after that greatness, spending tons of our time and resources trying to improve ourselves. Right? And we live in a time, we live in this time when there's more access to information than ever before. We have videos, we have blogs, maybe, are those still a thing? I don't even know. We have books, though, and podcasts and TikToks. There's no shortage of ways for us to learn more on whatever it is that we're trying to be great at. And in fact, we have more coaches, we have more equipment, more technology, and more disposable income to invest in our pursuit than any of the generations that came before us. And yet, somehow, we never seem to arrive, do we? This is actually not a new phenomenon to mankind. Henry David Thoreau wrote in Walden, which was back in 1854, "The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation." Why is that? Despite all of our advances, freedoms, and resources, why can't we seem to find what we're searching for? Why do we want to be great so badly? And who is it really for. So we've been in this series, Ocean Drift, and we're talking about the true anchors of life versus those false anchors of the world. And this isn't about piling on guilt. No, it's about naming what's real so we can actually find something better. And last week, Pastor Chuck left off with Jesus saying, the first will be last, and the last will be first. See, Jesus was flipping the ways of the world upside down, shifting paradigms, crushing assumptions. And today, we're going to continue that thought as Jesus challenges his followers even more. All right, so we're going to be in Matthew 20. If you like to have your Bible with you and want to open up, we're going to be in Matthew 20. We'll also put the passages on the screen like normal. We're going to start in verse 17. As Jesus was going up to Jerusalem, he took the 12 disciples aside privately and told them what was going to happen to him. Listen, he said, we're going up to Jerusalem, where the Son of Man will be betrayed to the leading priests and the teachers of religious law. They will sentence him to die. They will hand him over to the Romans to be mocked, flogged with a whip, and crucified. But on the third day, he will be raised from the dead. Now, this is the third time Jesus has predicted his death. And here he is, he's sharing this, it's just gruesome and really heavy stuff. So think about that. If someone close to you shared this kind of thing, how would you respond? Would you have compassion? Maybe some questions? They did have some questions. Verse 20. Then the mother of James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came to Jesus with her sons. She knelt respectfully to ask a favor. Interesting. Verse 21. What is your request? He asked. She replied, in your kingdom, please let my 2 sons sit in places of honor next to you, one on your right and the other on your left. Really? Jesus just predicted his death on the cross, and James and John's mom think it's a good time to ask if her sons can be his number 1 guys. Okay? So maybe James and John are going to come in, kind of apologize for mom. Okay, let's see what happens. Verse 22. But Jesus answered by saying to them, you don't know what you're asking. Are you able to drink from the bitter cup of suffering I'm about to drink? Oh, yes, they replied, we are able. Nope, they didn't, guys. They didn't. In fact, they didn't apologize at all. They doubled down. Oh, okay. So how does Jesus take all of this? Verse 23. Jesus told them, you will indeed drink from my bitter cup, but I have no right to say who will sit on my right or my left. My Father has prepared those places for the ones he has chosen. Okay, well, good. He clears all that up, so that's good. However, this wasn't a private conversation, apparently. So, verse 24, when the 10 other disciples heard what James and John had asked, they were indignant. They were pretty upset. And I kind of do wonder how they thought this was going to go over when they started. They're there with the other disciples. They've all been together for quite some time. They're following Jesus around all together, doing everything he says. And yet, for some reason, these 2 guys, in my opinion, at not the best time, they decide to ask Jesus if they can be honored more than the other disciples. They can become great. And I guess you miss 100% of the chances you don't take, but I seriously think these guys could have learned to read the room a little better. However, if we unpack this for a moment, we may find we're not so different. So what is the root of the problem right here? Well, funny enough, in the book of James, and we have to pause because in the Bible there are several Jameses, and this James that we're about to read from is not the same James that was just present in our passage. So we know that. So James writes in chapter 4 of his letter, listen to this, what is causing the quarrels and fights among you? Don't they come from the evil desires at war within you? You want what you don't have, so you scheme and kill to get it. You are jealous of what others have, but you can't get it, so you fight and wage war to take it from them. Yet you don't have what you want because you don't ask God for it. Well, they did ask, so there's that. But then verse 3, and even when you ask, you don't get it because your motives are all wrong. You want only what will give you pleasure. There's the sticking point right there, isn't it? Now, what is James saying in all of this? I could geek out on it all day, but I'm going to assume that you all want to eat lunch at some point, so we'll keep it simple. All of our external conflict comes from internal conflict within us. And that internal conflict comes from where? The false anchors. Those lies that we believe about ourselves and God. The two disciples are asking here to sit at the right and left of Jesus. And they didn't just want to be great, they wanted to be legends. And it's funny, I watched The Sandlot again the other day. It's been a little while. And it is filled with quotable lines. So you've seen the movie, "You're killing me, Smalls." Probably heard that one, right? And so look, if you have not seen it, you don't get that reference, or that wasn't funny, you need to go watch The Sandlot. It'll be good for you. And ladies, I'm serious. My wife watched it with me, and she said, "Is that really what it was like growing up as a boy?" Yes. Yes, it is. Absolutely. So the relevant quote, though, the quote in the movie that I want to talk about is, "Heroes are remembered, but legends never die." These guys, James and John, they believed that Jesus was going to become a powerful ruler, defeating the Romans. And they had some false anchors, just like the rest of us. Right? Likely, since they grew up fishermen, they were looked down upon by society. They weren't the bottom, but not far up the social ladder. And they likely believed that they deserved more from God in their lives because they'd been following Jesus and obeying Him. And they wanted more. So what makes the most sense? Well, secure a top position in that new regime. And then you can go and show all those people that have been looking down on you for your lives that two lowly fishermen could amount to something. They could make it to the top. Remember, Jesus had just shared some truly disturbing prophecy of His death. But they had become so inward focused, so consumed with their own false anchors, that they just kind of rolled right past that. They just ignored it. And instead, they asked to obtain what they thought would satisfy this desire they had and kind of quiet that storm of emotions that was swirling around inside of them. And maybe that's us too. Maybe we're chasing greatness because deep down, deep inside, we're trying to quiet something inside of us. And there's that fear, that voice that's saying, we're not enough. A couple years ago, I led a group of men through some identity exercises that were designed to kind of root out these false anchors. And one of the exercises was for us to sit around and share our greatest false anchor and identity statement, an I am statement with each other. And these were very successful men by our standards. And yet, they're sharing things like, I am not good enough. I am worthless. I'm not loved. I am garbage. They wanted to be great, but they felt like anything but that. And how many of us feel the same way and hear the same messages inside on a regular basis, no matter how hard we try? Because the reality is, new job title, the new PR at the gym, better duper rating, if you know, you know. They'll never do anything to truly make us happy. We're still not legends. And that voice, those doubts, they're still in there. So what do we do then? Well, what do we typically do? We try harder. We pour more time and resources into that area of our life. We exhaust ourselves, and sometimes we even ruffle feathers, just like James and John did. And I get it. There's something inside of us. It just wants our lives to leave an impact, to really mean something. Regardless of what we do, though, when it's apart from God, it never works. It just turns us more inward, searching for the next thing to buy or try. All right, so what do we do? What's the real solution then? What are we going to do? Well, we don't actually have to kill that desire in ourselves to be great. We need to redefine it, realign it. And for that, Jesus has a plan. Matthew 20, verse 25. But Jesus called them together and said, "You know that the rulers in this world lord it over their people, and officials flaunt their authority over those under them. But among you it will be different. Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first among you must become your slave. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others and to give his life as a ransom for many." That, right there, that is good news. We don't have to go throughout our lives trying to endlessly pursue greatness for our own benefit. See, instead, Jesus says, whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant. Whoever wants to be first among you must become your slave. And look, I know we're sensitive to the word slave because of the atrocities that have been committed here and all over the world. But the truth is, we're all in bondage. We're all a slave to something. And we use our time and our talents and resources to either serve ourselves and our own desires or to serve God and others. And Jesus right here, he's pointing out, he's flipping the script. He's saying instead of using others, that kind of thought that we typically have with that word, he says, give yourself away for others' good. It's radical service, not some sort of forced exploitation. And that's hard, though. It's hard. Like, you think about it and you feel it, and then you go, but how? How can we spend our time serving God and others when we're tired and we're stressed out and our calendars are already packed full? The truth is, we will all make time for the things in our lives we consider important. We will. Consider this. Who among you right now would ignore if your friend or your relative called you while you're here right now? Most of you are going, I would. Yeah, probably. Okay. And many of you probably have your phone on Do Not Disturb. But what if they called twice or 3 times in a row? Many of you would consider that to be a sign of an emergency, and you'd step out and answer the call. Who here has kids and have said, just like me, can't play right now because I have to work? But you would drop out of everything you were doing if your kids were in an accident, and you would go. Right? We prioritize our lives all the time, and we shift things around when other things are more important. So what if we think about this? Just what if? The talents, the skills, and resources that God has blessed you with aren't actually for you. What if they're for others? What if God does want you to be great too, but it's through serving other people? That's kind of a radical thought, isn't it? That's different. That's a paradigm shift from where we just were. But I believe that's the same point Jesus was making. He wraps that whole moment up with this mic drop moment when he says, "For this, even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others and to give his life as a ransom for many." We're serving then not for our own greatness. We serve because of Jesus' greatness and how he served us first. Right? He fills us so we can pour out. That's the overflow life that we're talking about here at Creekside. The King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, did not come to this earth to defeat a human enemy like Rome and then sit on a worldly throne with men at his right and left in worldly greatness. No, he came to serve and to give his life as a ransom, a payment, so that we may live free from the debt and bondage of sin. Amen? Right? Then we no longer need to use our lives and to try to amass and acquire this life that we think will make us great. Jesus has already secured our place in eternity with God. And instead, then we can spend our lives loving, helping, and serving others. That's how he became the truly greatest of all time. And that's a true anchor for our lives. All right. I'm a practical guy. I want to get practical. So what does this mean? What does this mean for all of us? Well, let's consider the team of young men and women who recently went to Honduras over their holiday week. And they spent that week planting coffee plants on a mountainside. Not kidding. They showed Jesus' greatness. And there are more men and women from this church going back later this year to Honduras to do the same thing. We have many volunteers that serve in multiple areas, and I can't highlight them all, but I just want to point a few out. Consider Phil. Phil serves in our production team, and also once a week, like clockwork, he shows up after work in his work clothes, and he goes out and he mows Living Hope Field. Then he goes home, and a couple days later in that week, he mows his lawn and 3 of his neighbors' lawns. Let's consider Nicole. Nicole serves on our greeting team. She also serves in our community group ministry. She also serves in our sports ministry. And she comes every week to campus and vacuums the buildings. And it's Stand Sunday, so let's consider Sunday Goodnight. That's a name, Sunday Goodnight. She has fostered over 50 children, some long-term and some through respite or emergency care. And she hosts Thanksgiving meals each year for foster care families. And she throws backyard birthdays for all of her children. Speaking of children, we have volunteers that serve multiple services here on Sundays and then again on Wednesday nights. All right, time out for a second here. And I want to get real, folks. Because the number one thing that we get asked for from just about every group is childcare. And honestly, that makes sense. I get it. We love our kids. I love my kids. It can be hard to focus on God's word when they're bouncing off the walls. They want to show you their latest finger painting that they did on the wall. So yes, it is a huge blessing when other people pour into them so that you can connect with God and other adults. We need to talk about that a second, though. And get real. And it might sting, but it's because I love you. Here's the truth. Some of us love dropping off our kids so we can get a breather, but we never once think about giving that same break to someone else. And that's a consumer mindset. It says the church exists to serve me. And look, I know not everyone can serve right now. This could be your first time here. I get it. Or maybe you're in a hard season, single parent yourself. Your plate's just maxed. That's okay. This is about freedom. Jesus isn't trying to take something from us. He's actually trying to free us to live with the purpose, that purpose that we've been looking for and desiring. And some of us could do it. We just don't want to. And I love you. I know many of you know me. I really do love you. But if we call that for what it is, it's not Christ-like. Jesus didn't say, "Come serve me." He said, "I came not to be served, but to serve." And he flipped the whole idea of greatness upside down. So what would it look like if all of us who could serve actually did? If pouring into our kids and our students wasn't this desperate need, but it was just something we all considered normal. I mean, it takes a village, as the saying goes, right? So what if serving others wasn't the exception, but the expectation? And here's the thing, when you serve in family ministry, you're not babysitting. I know there's this stigma sometimes, but you're not. You're creating space for marriages to strengthen, for parents to grow in their faith, for families to heal, and you are pouring into our children and students so they can pour out to their friends. Many of them you'll never meet. That pouring in and out, the overflow. Then they grow up and they share the good news of Jesus. They share the same love that you showed them with other people. They go out and they change this world, and heaven looks different. That's kingdom mindset. That's where true greatness is found. And with that said, we have many volunteers. And so if you're here, you're one of those volunteers, and you've been doing those things, and you're thinking, I'm feeling a little tired, a little worn out. Possibly because you're working and you're doing these things behind the scenes or during the week or maybe in ministry off campus. And just at that place, where you're just like, sometimes you just wish that people would consider the work you do or notice how much you contribute. Not necessarily because you need some sort of recognition. That's not why you do it. Because it would just feel nice to know that someone notices and it matters to them the work you do. To anybody. That it mattered. Okay. Let me share this story about Michelangelo. The painter, not the Ninja Turtle. Just to be clear. Now, he's painting the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. He's on a scaffolding, on his back, painting every day for 4 years. And the story goes that he's in one of the corners. It's kind of dark. He's painting. Someone comes in and says, "Hey, why are you working so diligently on the corners of the chapel no one will ever see?" The legend says he simply replied, "God will see." Colossians 3:23 reminds us, work willingly at whatever you do, as though you were working for the Lord rather than for people. And I get it. That heart, that dedication, that kind of dedication can be difficult at times. I recognize that. I do. Imagine, though, if we all stopped consuming, we just started contributing in whatever area we can, as if working for the Lord. What would our church look like if everyone who could said, "Yeah, I'll help. I'll give someone the same opportunity to experience the love I've experienced. I'll serve." See, because Phil mows not because he wants to be the greatest lawnmower, but because it brings him joy. Nicole vacuums not because she wants to be great, but because it brings her joy. I don't know how vacuuming does that, but it does for her. And Sunday Goodnight is the same. She's not looking for greatness for herself. She's looking to make others' lives great. And we have teams that make and bring meals for people for various reasons, that deliver furniture to refugees, that make and serve coffee. Find a parking spot. We have teams that help keep this building, and especially your kids, safe. We have folks that foster kids and other folks that come alongside and fix things in their homes for them. And there are many more teams here at Creekside, but what do they all have in common? They've embraced a kingdom mindset, and they find their greatness and joy in serving others, serving you. Now, I have experienced both of these things, this feeling of being served and serving. And it can be strange. It can be a strange feeling. I admit that. And so you know, there's those times in your life you never forget, like those moments that you never forget. Let me explain. Okay. At my last church, I noticed one of my coworkers was absent from work one day. He's one of my friends too. And so I called him and I said, "Hey, how are you doing?" And he goes, "I am really stressed out. The house is a wreck, and I'm trying to get it back in order. My wife comes home tomorrow. She's been gone for several days. I really don't want her to come home to it being a mess. I don't want to stress her out. Like good husband stuff. And I said, okay. I said, what can I do to help? And you, to this point, you're thinking, not that strange of a story, Chad. He responds and says to me, would you come over and help me fold laundry? Like, what guy says that to another guy? So I called my wife, I told her what was going on, and made sure she was okay with me skipping dinner that we had planned, right? Shifting priorities around. She understood. And so there I was, in my friend's house, on his living room floor, folding laundry. And when I left, he had a lot less stress, and I knew that I had served someone that really needed it. Even though to this day, that is still one of the strangest things anybody's ever asked me to do. Okay. But on the flip side of that, I also remember being on the receiving end. When my family felt the call to move from Virginia to Florida, things moved really, really quickly. So in fact, from the time the realtor saw our house that we were selling in Virginia to the time that we pulled in the driveway here was 90 days. It was God through the whole thing. In 2 weeks after the realtor came to see the house that we were selling, my wife and kids had a pre-planned trip to Pennsylvania. So I stayed back to prep the house for sale. And one of my friends called me, not the laundry one. And he asked what I was doing for the weekend, and I told him I was cleaning the house, getting it ready. And he was really sad about this because he knew I was leaving, and we had just started to get very close. And I said, you can come over and help. He said, I'd love to. So then he says, can I bring other people? He asked a couple other guys. I said, I mean, if other guys are out there and want to spend their Saturday like scrubbing carpets and painting walls, more the merrier. So Saturday morning rolls around. I get up. I start working on the house. My friend shows up. He says, hey, there's some more people coming. I said, okay, great. One by one, people start showing up at my house. 18 people showed up to help me that day. Many of them I never even met till that day, didn't know. These men and women, they scrubbed carpets, they painted ceilings and walls, they pressure washed siding and more. Right? I had strangers that were washing my windows. And they knew I was leaving. They knew I was moving out. There was no obvious benefit for them to do this other than the joy that they got from serving. And some Papa John's pizza. But to me, though, today, they're still heroes in my book. See, we don't become great from serving ourselves. We become great from serving others. Martin Luther King Jr. put it this way: everybody can be great because anybody can serve. See, Jesus showed us what it really means to serve. And as we enter into this time of communion, I want you to consider that. I want you to consider his sacrifice on the cross. Go ahead and prepare your elements, and if you didn't get any on your way in, just raise your hand. Our ushers will bring them to you. We discussed today that we carry around these false anchors, and we often prioritize our lives around them. But God doesn't want that for us. Jesus came that we may have life and have it to the full till it overflows. He became our ransom from sin and death, and through our faith in him, we can truly be free. So here's what I'm proposing. I want you to take this time. I want you to get those false anchors that you have, that false belief. I want you to get it out, take it out, and go and leave it right at the foot of the cross. His greatness will do the rest. Just take the bread and the juice, and when you're ready, I'll finish with prayer.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. We hope the message you just listened to had an impact on you. Make sure to stay connected with us through the week online at creeksidechristian.com and on Facebook and Instagram at Creekside Christian Church. We believe God has something unique to say to you, and our hope is that you feel His love stronger today than ever before. We love you, and we'll see you next time.